Let me ask you a question. What if the most expensive thing on your property isn't your air conditioner, your water heater, or even your mortgage? What if it's your yard? Now I know what you're thinking. It's a yard. It just sits there. Exactly, and that's the problem. Most people treat their landscaping like a piece of artwork, something nice to look at, something to impress the neighbors, something you install once and then forget about it. Meanwhile, the same landscape is quietly running up your water bill, increasing your cooling costs, and demanding maintenance like a teenager with a new driver's license. Welcome to Wise Use, the podcast where sustainability should save you money, not cost you money. I'm Dr. Joe Roselle, and today we're talking about landscaping, not gardening, not decorating, not creating the perfect Instagram background. We're talking about landscaping as a financial strategy. Because if you're living in Arizona, your yard is either helping you save money or it's actively working against you. A few years ago, I had what many people would describe as a perfectly normal Arizona landscape. Decorative rock, a handful of plants, an irrigation system that mostly I ignored until something broke, and a water bill that occasionally made me wonder if I was personally responsible for refilling Lake Mead. Everything looked fine. The problem was that fine was costing me money. The plants struggled, the yard seemed hotter and hotter every year, and every summer my air conditioner worked so hard I thought it deserved an Employee of the Month recognition. So I started asking myself different questions, not what looks good, but what actually works. And once I started looking at my yard through that lens, everything changed. The moment it really hit me happened on a hot summer afternoon. I was standing in two different parts of my yard. One area had compost in the soil, mulch on the surface, and a shade tree that had been growing for several years. The other area mostly had rock, compacted soil, and very little shade, and the difference was remarkable. The shaded area felt cooler, the soil stayed moister longer, the plants looked healthier. Meanwhile, the other section felt like the surface of a frying pan. Everything seemed hotter, everything seemed drier, everything seemed to require more water. Standing there, it dawned on me that I wasn't really looking at two different landscapes, I was looking at two different financial decisions. One side was working with nature, the other side was fighting it. One side was saving me money, the other side was determined to bankrupt me, one utility bill at a time. And that's when I realized landscaping isn't just about what looks good, it's about what performs. Okay, let's talk about the three most expensive landscaping mistakes. Mistake number one, buying plants like they're furniture. Most people buy plants the same way they buy a throw pillow. They see something attractive, they take it home, and then they spend the next 5 years trying to keep it alive. Here's a radical idea. Instead of buying a plant because it looks nice, buy a plant that actually wants to live where you live. Native in Arizona, desert adapted plants evolved to survive Arizona. Many imported plants don't. One works with nature, the other requires constant intervention, water, fertilization, attention, eventually replacement, because you're basically recreating the conditions where it actually thrives. Guess which one costs less? Here's something that most people get completely wrong. Landscaping is not decoration. It's infrastructure. A tree isn't a decoration. It's a giant solar management system. Healthy soil isn't dirt. It's a water storage facility. Mulch isn't landscaping material. It's insulation for the ground. And shade is basically free air conditioning that gets better every year. When you start thinking this way, you stop asking, what should I plant? And you start asking, what problem am I trying to solve? And that's when landscaping becomes interesting and profitable. Okay, this one is probably my biggest pet peeve. Mistake number two, the great rock myth. Arizona has a love affair when it comes to decorative rock. If you drive through neighborhoods, that's all you see. And I understand why. Rock doesn't need mowing. Rock doesn't need trimming. Rock doesn't need companionship. But here's the catch. Rock gets really hot. I mean really hot. Leave it in the sun long enough and it becomes less of a landscape feature and more of a low-grade heating system. And all day it absorbs heat. Then all evening it releases the heat towards your house, towards your patio, towards you. It's like installing a giant outdoor radiator that's wondering why everything feels warmer. Rock has a place, don't get me wrong, but when it's the only thing in your landscaping, you're creating a heat island instead of an ecosystem. Okay, the last mistake we're going to talk about is waiting to plant trees. And I've fallen into this trap as well. This is my favorite mistake because almost everyone makes it. People say, I'll plant a tree someday, and then someday becomes next year. Next year becomes 5 years later, and 5 years later becomes 10. And before you know it, you're spending a decade paying higher coolant costs because you never planted the thing that would have reduced them. The best time to plant a tree was a year ago. The second best time is today. Future you is counting on present you to stop procrastinating, so plant that tree. So let's talk strategy. What should you do? The first thing you need to do is conduct a yard audit. Go outside, look around. Where's the hottest part of your yard? Where do plants struggle? Where does water disappear? Where does maintenance consume your time? The answers will tell you where the opportunities are, because before you fix a problem, you have to identify it. Strategy you should think about when you're designing your landscape or auditing your landscape is think like an investor. Most landscaping decisions are based on appearance. That's backwards. Ask yourself, will this save me money 5 years from now? Will it require more water? Will it require more maintenance? Will it reduce energy use? The cheapest option today is often the most expensive option tomorrow. Good landscaping isn't inexpensive, it's an investment. My third piece of advice for you is build healthy soil and water smarter. Now let's talk about something nobody gets excited about, soil, which is unfortunate because soil may be the most important thing in your entire landscape. It's the foundation. People obsess over irrigation systems. They debate sprinkler heads, they buy timers, they install smart controllers, and then they ignore their soil. That's like buying a fancy coffee machine and forgetting to buy coffee. Here's the truth. Water conservation starts in the soil, not the faucet, not the hose, not the irrigation controller, in the soil. And here's something worth remembering. Research has shown that compost amends soils can dramatically improve water holding capacity, while strategically placing shade trees can reduce surrounding temperatures and low cooling demands during the Arizona summers. Think about that for a moment. The solution of your water bill isn't always using less water. Sometimes it's helping the soil hold onto the water you already are using. And then the solution to lower cooling isn't always a better air conditioner. Sometimes it's planting something that casts shade. Healthy soil acts like a sponge. When you add compost, you increase the soil's ability to hold water, support plants, roots, and survive extreme heat. Every gallon of water held in the soil is a gallon you don't have to buy again. If your soil can't retain water, you're not watering plants. You're simply funding an underground escape plan for your water. Now, compare compost with drip irrigation. Sprinklers throw water into the air. The Arizona sun takes some. The wind takes some. Evaporation takes some. Everyone gets a share except the plant. Drip irrigation skips the drama. It delivers water directly to the roots, exactly where it's needed. Less waste, less evaporation, less water, lower bills, healthier plants. When compost, mulch, healthy soil, and drip irrigation work together, your landscaping becomes dramatically more efficient, and efficiency is where savings lives. The last piece of advice I have for you is plant for shade. Once you've improved the soil and started managing your water efficiently, look up. The next opportunity is sitting above your head. Shade. A strategically placed shade tree can lower temperatures, improve comfort, and reduce cooling costs year after year. Think of a tree as an energy-saving device that gets bigger and more effective every year. Try finding another investment that does that. So let's consider why this matters. This episode isn't really about landscaping, it's about stewardship. Every dollar you save on water, energy, and the maintenance can be invested somewhere else for your family, your community, your future. Wise use isn't about sacrifice, it's about being smarter. It's about finding solutions that are good for both you and your wallet and the world around you. Before we move on to our final thoughts, let's think about our weekly challenge. Before our next episode, I want you to do one thing. Walk outside, stand in your yard, and ask yourself this question. What could I plant today that would provide shade for 5 years from now? Then write down the answer, because 5 years from now, you'll either be enjoying that shade or wishing you'd started today. Hey, our final thoughts on landscaping. Before we go, I'd like you to imagine something. Imagine every homeowner in Phoenix planted one shade tree. Imagine if every yard added compost to improve soil health. Imagine if every landscape used water more efficiently through drip irrigation and smarter decisions. We would use less water, spend less money on energy, create cooler neighborhoods, support healthier soils, and leave something better for the next generation. Not because of a massive government program, not because of some extensive technology, but because thousands of people made smart, practical decisions that add up over time. That's the one thing about stewardship. It's rarely one big action. It's 1,000 small actions repeated consistently. A tree planting today, a wheelbarrow of compost added this week, a drip line installed next month. Small decisions, big impacts. That's the wise choice mindset. Thanks for joining me today on Wise Use. Remember, sustainability should save you money, not cost you money. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with somebody whose yard might be secretly plotting against their utility bill. Until next time, I'm Dr. Joe Roselle. Keep making wise choices and keep putting sustainability to work for you. Until next time.